Hey, Matt Stone from Unschooling Emily. Jason Price, a very smart kid, asked me some questions a long time ago. I haven't gotten around to him, but I'm going to get around to him now, answer him. Very interesting questions, very intelligent person, obviously very interested about unschooling and the concept, and more than happy to discuss any of these. I figured I would do them in a video response so that other people who might be interested could listen along. I'll try to get through these as quickly as I can to keep this video from being a freaking half-hour long. But there's some really good ones in here, so I'll try to blast through them pretty fast and hopefully get with some good responses here. Number one, how did you hear about unschooling? I didn't actually hear about it. It was something I sort of look at it as self-driven education. I had applied that to myself through the things that I had experienced, and following my passions, learning how to apply myself in my area of interest and go with the flow of who I am and my own interests instead of against that flow. In other ways as well, not just with education and learning. So that's my foray into it. When I actually started, researching, it didn't take me long to find unschooling and sort of further inspire me, because people are, ideologically are taking it even a step further. And it's very interesting, so I hope to read a lot more about it in the future, but I don't know much about unschooling the movement. I just figured that was the best title to call what we're doing. Another would be to call self-driven education, but I figured it would be easier to sort of tap into something, entity, and an ideology that already existed. But maybe in the future, create more of this kind of idea of sort of self-driven education. What was your biggest concern about continuing school for Emily? What negative effects, if any, do you expect from a school childhood? Well, it just depends. I mean, school can probably work pretty well for some kids. Other kids just aren't interested, and it's very demoralizing to spend all day having someone trying to beat information into you that's of no relevancy to you whatsoever. And I think you can end up being part of the herd mentality. You can end up basically just buying into the status quo socially, educationally, and otherwise. There's a lot of negatives. For her in particular, she was going to get held back and made to repeat first grade again. She's already in the slow class. The year before that, her kindergarten year, she was in the class with the kids wearing helmets and biting the teachers and things like that. So, that's really demoralizing. We wanted her to feel like she was a normal, vital human being. We didn't want that reinforced that she was, like retarded or something like that. So anyway, that was the biggest reason, I think, for pulling her out. Plus, she just hated it. All those things put together, I just couldn't bear to watch it, because if I had my choice to do it all over again, knowing what I know now, I'd probably do things quite a bit differently. Not that I have any regrets or anything, it would be interesting to see how I would have developed if I had the knowledge and insights and all the kind of things that I have as an adult. What was your biggest concern about unschooling Emily? What negative effects, if any, do you expect from an unschooled childhood? Everything that you do in life always has a positive and negative outcome. There's always going to be positive and negative effects. A lot of people think that you can do things without creating harm or having a negative consequence. Everything, if you analyze it enough, has a both positive and negative outcome, positive and negative consequences. I don't really know what those might be. Like I said, I think the biggest concern for people is that you're not going to get this sort of social interaction. She gets plenty of social interaction. She's a very friendly kid. Just because she's not going to be able to, learn her status as being a dumbass with, how the other kids in school are going to label her and how to interact with those people, it doesn't concern me. I think that's actually a great benefit that she's not sort of being tapped into the social mainstream where she's, gonna find out that she is, not very smart. I don't feel good about that. And I wouldn't feel good about everyone worshiping her either. There's a lot of negative consequences to everybody telling you how smart and awesome and good looking you are and all those kind of things too. So anyway, not much of an answer for that, but I am aware that there will be negative effects. Do you think whatever guidance, direction, or restrictions the parent tries to give relies on the closeness or trust between the parent and the child? Instead of forcing the child to do something they do not want to do, the parent simply tries to get the child to want to do it. Do you think effectiveness of the latter strategy depends on their trust and mutual respect? it's a hard question to answer. I can't say that I honestly have analyzed the things that you're asking here, Jason. You know, I think there's a lot of trust between us. We have a very close bond. We have a lot of fun together as a family. And she's starting to, you know, for example, some of the guidance we've given her is we went out and we went hiking. And this is a good topic of conversation on the topic of unschooling in general, because unschooling to some degree is never like, you know, letting a child do, like always letting them do whatever they want. And sometimes we choose the path of least resistance. So we've been doing some hiking and some things with Emily that's very challenging for her. She's out of shape. She's been living in Florida her whole life. We take her out to high elevation, strap a backpack on her, send her up a big steep hill full of rocks, and very hard for her. She's falling. She's getting very tired. Some of the guidance we gave her was, you know, hey, you know, this is hard, but hard is good. You know, this is actually, it's going to make your legs strong. It's going to do all these things, and she's been really cute with that. She loves to, you know, feel my legs, feel strong they're getting. So she's actually gotten into it, and she's starting to associate difficulty with making progress and getting stronger. So we'd like, hopefully, for her to continue being eager to take on challenge instead of always taking the easy route. That's huge for me. That's very near and dear to my heart, very big part of my ideology in general. So anyway, we haven't been trying to, you know, force her to do things unless it's, you know, unless she's just being annoying and we're yelling at her because she's being obnoxious. You know, just in general, we don't force her really to do anything. We try to gently coax her to do things at best, or make sure that the things that we are doing are things that are of her choosing, that she's willingly wanting to do, knowing that when she willingly wants to do something and she volunteers to do it, she enters into a state of mind that is much more malleable, open-minded, and she gets a lot more out of it. When a child makes their own decision to do something by their own volition, it's much more powerful than having that decision made for them. So we let her make as many decisions as we can, really, within reason. Obviously, she wanted to jump off of Yellowstone Falls. It looked like fun. We had to talk her out of that decision. And we would have forced her out of that decision if she would have argued with it. So, yeah, obviously we have to intervene sometimes with her really bad ideas, but for the most part, we let her make her own decisions and feel like she's in control of her own life, and that's really important to me. What do you do when Emily resists the guidance, direction, or restrictions you present? Well, I mean, it's a work in progress. Every day is a new challenge. I can't say that we have a playbook for this kind of thing. It depends on what we're talking about, the day, the history behind whatever is going on. There's just a lot of different things going on there. But does she resist the guidance, direction, restrictions you present? Yeah, I mean, if she does, then you know, we try to work around those. Like I said, there's no playbook. I can't give you an answer for what we do when that arises, because it just is completely situationally dependent. If Emily's not done so, what would you do if she did? For example, you spoke of stopping her from reading so that she would desire to read more. What if she either stopped reading altogether or continued reading even after you told her to stop? Yeah, we try to get a little bit away from that kind of thing. I mean, I think it's important that people balance out their perspectives on things. So if a kid is overly infatuated with something for some reason, maybe it's been restricted, so they become overly, you know, infatuated with it. We try to balance that out by giving them sort of an overabundance of the thing they're infatuated with until it's no longer scarce and so highly attractive. So anyway, maybe that's not a very good answer to your question, but I'm hoping to get through these so this video doesn't go on too long. Number 6, have you read any of John Holt's books? Have you read any of John Taylor Gatto's books? If you have, can you share your opinions on their ideas? I have not read anything on unschooling. I hope to read everything on unschooling in due time, and I will do video responses to each book that I read as I go through, and probably be starting maybe in the fall, reading other people's ideologies. I watched some videos of people who were influenced by John Taylor Gatto. I know John Taylor Gatto has some speeches and things on YouTube that I've perused a little bit. So anyway, I will definitely do reviews of those types of things when I get a chance. Like I said, this is more my ideology coming through, but I'm eager and willing to be influenced by other people's ideologies and integrate that into my own to make it, potentially even superior. Next one, do you have any thoughts on epistemology? Can you explicitly define them? I do not have any thoughts on epistemology and no definition for them. I don't come from this as someone who is an academic about education. I'm not a scholar on education, educational ideologies, or anything like that. I just happen to have success implementing it for myself, and it enhanced my life tremendously to basically stop learning what I thought I should be learning, or not really actively learn anything at all, and actually start to acquire knowledge, guided by my own inspirations. But I do have a lot of beliefs about the human organism, and I believe that our own instincts are great, whereas I think a lot of religions and various ideologies like that tend to view our natural instincts and things as wicked. I don't think I don't have any kind of moral sort of things that get in the way. I like to let morals completely get out of the way of the human organism, let us be ourselves without any kind of judgment as much as possible. I mean, obviously that's ideological, that's just an ideal. Not everybody can possibly put that into practice, but at least that's something I have in the back of my mind, something I attempt to move towards. You spoke of using Jedi mind tricks to get a child to want to do something, getting the child to do something versus getting the child to want to do something. You also spoke of the unintended effects of punishment and reward. You then described your method of getting Emily to want to read using punishments and rewards in the opposite way, sort of reverse psychology. Just as school inaccurately portrays reality for its students by giving out grades, don't you think reapplying reward and punishment differently, even if it works, is still insufficient? What I mean is that grades are not always given and achievements are not always quantifiable in the real world. Likewise, any artificial application of reward and punishment is an inaccurate portrayal of reality and life as an adult. What do you think of this assessment of those Jedi mind tricks? I think that's a great assessment. We're really getting away from these Jedi mind tricks. I do see their limitations. I do see their... you really don't want to be manipulating a child or manipulating anyone in that kind of way. You want them to be doing things by their own volition. Like I said earlier, I think it's important that you are able to encourage a child to face challenge, to overcome difficulty, to see beyond the immediate and see into the future and see that there are rewards from facing various challenges and going through various discomforts in order to obtain something. So I do... obviously we do give her a lot of information, but we're doing it more in terms of what you're getting at, which, is more to let it happen all on its own and not do so with any kind of coercion, but just information, letting her know the actions and consequences. And, it's a work in progress. And we've spent less than 4 weeks total with her since she's gotten out of school. So it's very, very new with what we're doing here. And we've learned a lot already. We're already changing courses and cutting a lot of that crap out. Just as unschooling and a lifelong passion for learning is important for a child to have skills that reflect reality, do you think that reasoning and a compromise of desires is also important? For example, if a parent has to go to grandma's house for some reason and the child does not want to, would it not be a more realistic learning experience to ask why and reason with them than to either force them to go or manipulate reward and punishment to make them want to go? It's the difference between making them want to go and making them want to go for the right reasons, because they want to help mom and dad more than they don't want to go. Yes. Full agreement with that. Like I said, we're getting beyond sort of this coercion and manipulation, and not being cutesy with all of this, but really thinking more in those types of terms, and also getting her to realize that there's benefits in doing some things that you don't want to do, facing some things that you don't want to face. Discomfort and challenge and difficulty and pain and suffering actually can yield tremendous growth and development and building of strength and resiliency and all the things that are very important to achieve any of the goals or accomplish any of the things that you want to accomplish in your life, no matter who you are. Number 10, finally, what's one small, seemingly unconventional thing we can do every day to improve our health? the thing that I have people focus on is keeping basically their stress system suppressed. And one of the best things you can do to keep your stress system suppressed is to make sure that your hands and feet are nice and warm. If the blood vessels in your hands and feet are open and you have nice warm blood in the fingers and toes and great peripheral circulation, it means that your nervous system and your stress system is very relaxed, and that's a very healing state that's more conducive to health than being in sort of the catabolic and anti-health state of being highly stressed and having your glucocorticoids and your stress hormones active. So how can you do that? One of the best ways is to actually increase your ratio of salt to water, and it's usually just a small adjustment, very, very tiny. Of course, a lot of people are forcing themselves to drink 8-ounce glasses of water a day, and they think that salt's bad for them. Don't pay any attention to that. Pay attention to your body. Let your body dictate that, and make sure that you're urinating no more frequently than once every 4 hours, and that your hands and feet are nice and warm. That is one small, seemingly unconventional thing that we can do every day to improve your health. Particularly pay attention to what time of day your hands and feet seem to be the coldest. That's the best time to be eating more food and more salt and taking in fewer fluids. You can reverse that later in the day. A lot of people, I find, when I give this little piece of advice, they tend to take things to extremes and overdo it. They eat tons of salt, they don't drink any water, and then they develop all kinds of dehydration problems, and then they're pissed at me. Make sure these are small, fine-tuned adjustments, just barely enough to keep those hands and feet warm. That'll keep your nervous system relaxed, and it's a very helpful state to be in. People in the modern era need to spend more time in that state. So anyway, that's it. And thanks, Jason, for those questions. Those are excellent. I'm so sorry it's taken me almost 2 months to get back to them, but hopefully you're still around to see it, and hopefully you like some of my responses. Hit me up with more anytime. Really appreciate it.